That's much better.
Can you hear us? I hope you can hear us.
Thanks, Luke.
Schoolgirl era after all this time.
The last in the series, and it's the first time we've done that.
Evening, Luke. Hello, Claire. Here we are in Rosé with a wonderful sort of like, I don't know, kind of looks like almost sort of
Mediterranean,
tropical backdrop.
Oh, look at the hair. The hair is in a
a wee while ago, the sun was shining, which was quite nice to see it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to what we hope. Well, we don't hope as such. Well, we hope this is going to be our last lockdown.
Yeah, we hope this is the last lockdown, but this won't be our last live event.
No, we probably have to reinvent the name, rediscover a new name for them.
Yeah.
Dobby's leaning on me, Finn. You're leaning on me.
So, has anybody made their lovely
oh my god,
salmon jerky canapé? I've had to cut mine up. Mine, as I said in the recipe,
revelation of the week.
Yes, yeah, it's been brilliant. We've struggled to save enough just to have for this evening. So
yeah. So here we are, 7 o'clock,
Thursday
evening,
Rosé
Monday, Thursday.
Oh,
Monday, Thursday.
Yep. Yeah. Morning, the last of the lockdown live tastings.
Yep.
Hi,
1st of April, April Fool's Day, which can only mean somebody's got a birthday. Who could that be?
Oh yeah, well, it's not me.
Some crazy person on the 1st of April.
Here she is, Michelle Clark. Happy birthday, Clarky.
Happy birthday, Michelle Clark. Congratulations.
So hi, Felicity and Jane. We've got to say hellos. Hi, Emma and Tim. Hi, everybody. It's just lovely that everyone's here. It's the sun's been shining. We're all being let free, so we can actually be vaguely sociable in our gardens.
It is quite extraordinary, actually. The sun comes out, and I can't believe how much rosé wine we've sold this week.
Already.
It's just bonkers. As soon as the sun comes out, people go, oh, pop a case of rosé round. Yes, they do.
And also,
yes, they do.
A nudge of a reminder. Felicity and Jane have got the salmon jerky.
Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a bit of a revelation, actually.
Right now. It's really good.
Yeah. Do you know the other thing is actually, as we are sitting here in pink, it's kind of interesting. And it just goes to show how many different pinks there are. So Jude's pink on our screen looks actually quite red. And the pink on my pink on our screen looks a little bit salmony. When in actual fact, the reality is that Jude's is proper cerise
mine's
pink,
kind of, yeah.
And mine's actually quite pale. But actually, look at the red colour of the wine. I mean, it's almost like
it's almost like
nondescript. So.
But that's the beauty of this rosé, is that it's delicate.
Yeah.
So, shall we just have a mention on? Is there any news? Any news before we crack on with the old wine itself? Not yet.
You know, sometimes you have a torrid day. I've had a torrid day today. I've had a torrid day.
Well, I think Pam had a half a day off on Tuesday, and it's been plaguing her ever since because we've had a really busy week.
And couriers, what a nightmare couriers are at the moment. Don't rely on them for anything.
We've basically been chasing rosé actually around the country for the last 3 days, but it has finally reached its destination.
So here we are, everybody. It's Hannibal Brown delivering still up and down the country, still across Europe, in spite of everything that Brexit has thrown at us, and still doing virtual wine tastings across Europe as well.
Yes.
And this evening we are showcasing the Chateau rosé because it is the first rosé that has come through as the 2020 vintage, which arrived probably about a month ago now.
Yeah, not long.
It has had time to just like temper down. You got to remember with the new vintages, when the new vintages come down around, particularly of rosé, you want to snap onto them as quickly as possible. However, just bear in mind that they will be quite like zippy because that acidity is still going to be quite heightened. So for the first few weeks, every wine. Sometimes they talk about wine going through bottle shock. And it is the same pretty much for all wines, including rosé, that they kind of go, "Ooh, I've been shut down. I've been locked up. I don't know what to do." And they kind of like, they get all tense and tight. Dare I say, a bit like human beings. And so you just need to let them to just sort of like calm down a little bit and simmer and let that acidity just drop.
This is already actually...
Which has
even
changed already.
A week later to when we last tasted it. Actually, that's not true. We had a bottle the other night.
So doggy's leaning on me. Proper lean on.
Even like a week later, you can taste the difference. But 2020 is the vintage to go for at the moment.
Mm.
Some rosés are really good and can actually last and even get better over time. But majority speaking, especially Provence style rosés.
Well, I think it's true to
Nice
say
and
actually that the 2019 Chateau d'Olier, if anybody's got it, it's still absolutely bang on the money.
Yeah.
And it will be. So probably, 6 months from now, the 2019, you'll probably notice, I definitely want to be on the 2020. But at the moment, 2019 or 2020 are going to be bang on.
Yeah,
and
they're both good.
This is for me, doggy. I'm just going to test the old,
gosh,
call it?
Salmon jerky.
Salmon jerky. Do you want to tell everybody how you made it?
Yeah, well, I think everyone should have seen Felicity, Jane, please post a photo. I'm glad that you like it. Basically, I did put the recipe up. It does take a while, but the amount of effort that you actually have to put in is minimal. And what you end up is with a really lovely, almost like dried, chewy salmon snack.
It's amazing.
And it's such a good combination with this wine.
Yeah.
You've got to make it because it lasts weeks. And it's so tasty.
Yeah.
And it's good and, protein filled, etc., etc. So, right, here we go. Just a word on Provence, I think. So I'm going to put up a map because
here we go.
I have a map.
Mapper. Oh, we just did that. Between pink.
So
southern.
Does this help? I think this should help. I'm just going to maybe make it a little bit bigger.
That is the south of France, isn't it?
That is Provence.
Oh yeah.
There we go. So that is Provence, which is, you can see in the little map of France. I've got the mouse, but it's just not as good as using the keypad. So you can see on the map of France at the bottom. It's the bottom right-hand corner of France there, okay? So the main cities we're talking about is Nice to the east.
Marseille to the west.
Marseille to the west, yeah. But just zooming back out again a little bit.
But actually, no, even further than Marseille. What are we talking about? All the way through to Languedoc.
True.
All the way through to through Montpellier out to Perpignan.
Which is helpful really if you know your southern French cities.
All across the east, all across the south coast. Actually, the further east you go, and when it gets closer you get to Nice, actually, Nice is not a fantastic wine-producing area. They do produce a lot of wine around there, but it's not great quality.
Actually, if you look on the map, the little orange blob to the top right, that is Nice. That
there we go.
Appellation.
There we go. Thank you.
So Claire Clark, oh no, I didn't look at the comparison to the size of Wales for Provence. That's disappointing, isn't it? I reckon it's got to be
Could
similar.
somebody tell us how big is Provence by comparison to the size of Wales?
I feel like we've dropped a ball there.
I suspect that Marseille is a much bigger city. So Marseille is the second biggest city in France. So
so that's probably up there. It's bigger than Cardiff. Maybe.
It's,
we'll find out for you, Claire.
Yeah.
Watch this space. So anyway, so this is Provence, the green area, which is sort of Western Provence, if you like. That's where you find the appellation of Aix-en-Provence, A-I-X. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, Aix.
Aix-en-Provence, which sounds like a very English way to pronounce it, if you ask me.
Yep.
Now, this Olier is just a little bit further east from that, going sort of almost horizontally. So it's well in Provence, but it's kind of on that side, so you know roughly where it is.
And it is a little village called Olière. So you can Google Olière and it will come up as a little village. Very pretty little village, actually. And this is the Chateau of Olière.
Yeah, I have actually got
it's got kudos and presents.
Pictures of Olière.
There we go.
Wow,
the lavender of southern France.
Yeah, let's get this. I've got a lot going on. Suddenly I've got this mouse. Here we go. This is like a really lovely picture, a Provençal kind of picture.
Yeah.
Lavender, rosemary, and vineyards in the background. It's a real kind of Provence-y kind of.
There's a sad thing about the lavender in southern France, actually.
What's that?
The Chinese have kind of like basically moved into that sort of industry and can produce it, mass produce it much cheaper than the lavender produced in Provence. So it's not nearly as sort of widely sort of extensive.
Oh, that's kind of,
which is really sad. Really
you don't want to
sad.
see made in China on your bag of lavender. Provence.
No, I still maintain. I mean, you can still cross Provence and see the beautiful sort of purple fields. You can do that in Surrey as well, actually.
just down from Sutton.
Anyway,
look, here's the Chateau d'Olier sign. Big, massive signpost. And this is actually the
Should
Chateau.
be an accent on that E, although it would have to be floating.
Maybe it fell off. Maybe there were cloud storms. This is the actual chateau itself, a beautiful old house that the current owners bought in 2003. And it was a bloke and his son, a man and his son, Hubert. His surname is spelled Rouy. Is it Rouy? Like King. And Charles, his son.
Yeah.
And they basically did it up. This is their cellar, and it's now stunning. And the chateau.
That is a beautiful cellar.
Chateau looks out over these beautiful vineyards. So yeah, really stunning.
Can we go back to the cellar for a moment?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look.
Back to the cellar. Here we go. So nice classic kind of stone arches and barrels on a nice gravel floor.
And the gravel floor is so important because it allows the room to breathe. The last thing you want to do is actually put a big sort of what do you call them? Flagstones.
Flagstones, yeah.
You don't really want to put flagstones in. This is perfect. So if you're building a cellar underground, just bear in mind, put some gravel in.
Don't forget to put gravel on.
Yeah.
And here he is. That's Hubert.
Oh, yeah.
And there is Charles fading into insignificance in the background.
Poor old Charles. Poor old Charles.
And then this is a camping trip we had last summer.
Yeah.
When we compared two fabulous rosé, but for now I'm just going to get rid of that.
Oh yeah, we'll go back to that.
Olière is a village, petit village en Provence.
En Provence.
En Provence. So just like everywhere else in France, a lot of the wines are named after villages. Although you will get a lot of Vin de Provence, Coteau de Provence, sort of more generically named, which will still have all these lovely characteristics. We have, Luke mentioned Whispering Angel earlier. We have done the comparison, everybody. We purchased through gritted teeth and whilst driving in a concealed vehicle from Waitrose a bottle of Whispering Angel, a vast expense, about 19 quid.
Yeah, we did. And we blind tasted it to about a dozen different people.
Yeah.
All on the same day, all independently. They didn't know what they were tasting. And then we tasted it, they compared it to the Olière. They didn't know the wines. And
actually also Hampton Water, which is a Bon Jovi wine, which we do list, and it's good, but it's quite pricey.
Yeah.
The Olière is the winner.
There was no comparison in actual fact. There was no comparison. It was, everybody was like, oh, that one. And the reason was is that there's nothing wrong with the Whispering Angel, but the Olière and what we love about it is actually it does have a bit of character. It's got a bit of flavour rather than just being pink and dry. So if you did blind taste the two of them together, you would notice instantly that the Olière is a little bit more giving.
Yes, and also the others definitely they're more expensive wines.
Yeah.
They have a bit more tannic structure to them. They're a bit bigger in sort of weight, and therefore not so easy to just sip along with your salmon jerky. Well, actually, you'd need the salmon jerky to be able to enjoy them properly. So this is 50% Grenache and 50% Sanso, which are two really classic Rhone grapes. Like all the grapes you find in Provence are the same grapes as you find in the Rhone, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now, you're not allowed in France to mix red and white wine to make rosé. That's a no-no.
No. You are allowed to do it in some countries.
You are indeed, but there are some white grapes grown in Provence that are used to make rosé, but they ferment the grapes together, so they're sort of the grapes are mixed up, and then it's the wine's produced. So it's not like a little bit of red, a little bit of white, which is permissible. Now, there's one region where that actually rule does not apply.
As in the blending of
as in popping a bit of red.
As in popping a bit of red wine in. Oh, what? All those naughty South Africans.
No, one region in France. One region in France, I was thinking.
Oh, of course.
Bit of boozy, adding a bit of boozy rouge to make it.
I hope everybody knows what boozy rouge, which is a red wine, is added to another wine to give it colour.
Yeah, which region are we talking about?
It's actually called boozy rouge, which is great. What a great name.
And Jackie has come in with a stormer of a figure here. Provence is bigger than Wales by approximately 10,000 square kilometres.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Really?
Maybe
that's big.
10 square kilometres. Maybe 10 square kilometres. Well, anyway, it's bigger than Wales. Hurrah!
Thank you for that.
Felicity, you're right. Actually, the Bon Jovi wine is temporarily out of stock, but we'll be coming back in shortly. So when I say we stock it, I mean we list it.
We might. We do find it is a little bit expensive for what we by comparison to the value for money that Olière, and that's what we struggle with, because Olière is still selling at $13.99. There may be some price increases on the way. Hopefully not everybody, but we might have to
What
tweak a
happens,
few things.
yeah.
But $13.99 compared to Bon Jovi, which I think is $19.99
Yeah, it's
or
up near the
something.
£20
And
mark.
it's actually quite difficult to justify that extra sort of £6 or £7. When in actual fact, we'd rather sort of like direct people to something cheaper and more interesting.
Now, Luke, I think, and Simon are drinking the Chateau Mascassac,
Yeah.
which is, again, for the price point, just a lovely southern French rosé. It's from the Languedoc. It's from a little bit further along, but
made by one of the gurus, one of the finest winemakers in southern France, who died not that long ago. His name was Aimé Guibert, and he made his name actually for red wine, Chateau Mascassac, the red. And
which are phenomenally good.
Years,
The reds,
phenomenally good. And in recent years, they introduced the rosé, the Reserve de Gassac, which it does the job. Put it that way. Anyway, so what else were we going to talk about?
Okay, so well, I was just talking about the grape varieties.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then the fact that you can't illegally in France mix red and white wine to make rosé, and no one has hazarded a guess at the region,
Boozy Rouge,
the one region where you can add Boozy Rouge to the white to make pink wine. So we'll leave
even Finn knows that.
We'll leave it. Yeah, I mean,
they'll start googling now.
I think I heard him mutter it.
Boozy.
So
boozy.
We'll wait till the answers come in here, but let's talk about just how rosé is made.
Yes.
So for a moment, can you make rosé from white grapes?
No, absolument no.
Pourquoi?
Parce que the color comes from the skins. Yeah. So if there is no pigment in white grapes or green grapes, there's no pigment, and therefore the pigment of red grapes is what actually gives the color. So macerating on the skins provides the color.
So method number one, because there's kind of three different ways of making rosé.
There are. Yes.
So method number one is you got your red grapes and you squash them and leave the skins in there.
Bash them about. Yeah.
Just like you would with red wine.
Yeah. Macerate them on the skins. Yes.
And then before it turns to red wine, take the skins out.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So basically exactly the same way as producing red wine, but less time on the skins, less time macerating on the skins.
He's having a proper lean there.
He certainly is.
And I guess a rule, if you think about the red wine that the red grape is going to make. So in Spain, Tempranillo is used to make a lot of the rosé. Tempranillo is the Rioja grape. Rioja, it tends to be quite a dark coloured wine.
Yeah.
Makes generally quite a dark coloured rosé.
It does. And we're talking on the pink level of pink. We're talking Jude's top. And darker in actual fact. So the people of northern Spain, the Rioja, they kind of struggle to sell their rosé outside of Spain. The Spaniards don't tend to worry about it so much, but it's not quite as appealing as in terms of colour. And unfortunately, rosé is all about the colour.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Simon just made a good point that with Pinot Gris you can actually make a rosé out of white wine, because actually the Pinot Gris grapes have got a little bit of pigment in them.
They have.
And there are a few white grape varieties, it has to be said, that are kind of gris as well.
Yep.
There's a few gris grapes, GRIS,
yep,
where there's a bit of pigment in the skins. So if there's pigment in the skins and you leave the skins in that juice long enough, it's going to impart some colour into the juice. So you're absolutely right. And actually, even Pinot Grigio, we've had a natural wine fair a few years ago. We had an orange Pinot Grigio, didn't we? And it was the colour... It was the colour of this salmon. Actually, it was like dark orange.
Yeah, you can see it, and you can see it on the skins. In actual fact, yes, they're defined as white grapes, but in actual fact, yes, they've got a little bit of pigment in them.
But rule of thumb,
it's the same with. There's a grape in Japan called what's it called?
Koshu.
Koshu, Koshu, and it's a white grape variety. But in actual fact, when it grows, it's the colour of my shirt. But it literally is the colour of my shirt, but it doesn't impart any colour. And that's not to say that actually there is. I'm not sure whether there's any pigment in there. There must be.
Well, it's pink, yeah, but I've never seen a rosé koshu.
No,
actually.
I've only ever seen white koshu wine. But it is quite possible.
So Emma Tracy's asking a question. Why is it that I distinctly avoid dark pink rosé? It's because you're very sensible, Emma. We all do.
Not as appealing.
We all do, yeah. And because the colour tells you not an awful lot, but if it's from Provence, the likelihood is you're going to get a rosé in the style like this. It's going to be dry with a bit of fruit to it, have like melony, all these lovely characteristics that you associate with your lovely dry fresh rosé. If it's a kind of magenta color, you're going to immediately think, oh, big, heavy, maybe a bit sweeter. They're not always sweet. In fact, some of them are absolutely delicious. And this brings me on to a particular appellation, a little particular area in France, which is the oldest and only specifically rosé appellation in France. It's in the Rhone Valley. It's a little village. I just can't get over the fact my hair's so awful. Sorry. We need to turn the camera around. So it's a little village in the Rhone Valley, and it's called Tavel, Tavel, and it's incredibly famous. And look at the color of the wine. This is like scary monsters to most of us.
Yeah, but it's not always like that, though. Again, it's down to the producer. It's down to the producer who may have just macerated that. It is always deeper than the Olière or the Mastodona or the Gassac rosé that some people are drinking.
But for this particular producer, actually, I've got this picture because this is the same producer, Domaine Lafond. And in 2006, the front bottle, it's like a kind of dark Ribena color. Yeah. And then 10 years later, their production methods are changing to try and make it a little bit less scary dark.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to remember, actually, some sort of Pinot Noir. Some Pinot Noir is so light that it actually almost gives the impression that it's rosé. And I know. What's this with this doggy? He's being a very affectionate dog at the moment. Very affectionate. It's all about lockdown.
He's having such a good look.
He is having a good mood. I know. That's all right. Stay here, big guy. Stay here.
So but Tavel, actually, it's dry and it's got quite a bit of body to it. So it's a really good wine to have with food. Yeah. And there are rosés, and even those scary Spanish rosés, that can be absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. I might just swap places. There we go.
There he is.
Some of the Spanish Tempranillo rosés can be really good. We went to a Rioja, 10 producers and 10 different styles or something of Rioja. Do you remember that? A couple of years ago, tasting, and there was a whole section on rosé Rioja. Some of them were kind of paler, but in essence, walking in there, you're like, oh, geez, right, here we go.
For those of you who don't know, in actual fact, I mean, there are two schools of rosé. There is the rosé that is produced, which is basically almost like failed red wine. So, for example, what's happened is the grapes on the vine haven't actually produced enough pigment or structure in the skins, and bear in mind that the tannins come from the skins as well. There's all sorts of stuff that comes out of the skins, and the winemaker has said, you know what, it's not good enough to make red wine, therefore make a rosé out of it. So that rosé essentially is defined as a byproduct of failed red wine. Then you've got your winemakers, your specific producers like Chateau, where the winemakers have gone out of their way to go to make a rosé as a sort of a class proposition. So it's a wine in its own right, and that unfortunately is what you see in the supermarkets. You've got this dilemma between failed red wine as rosé, possibly a lovely color, but it's basically failed. And therefore, it's just a byproduct, and there's no quality associated with it whatsoever. And the winemaker probably wouldn't want to even discuss it. And then you've got these wonderful, wonderful rosés that come from people like Chateau, which you have to look out for and actually sort of talk to tried and tested good wine merchants who you can rely on.
We're speaking to the converted here.
I know, but I don't know whether everybody's familiar with that. It's worth repeating.
And as for another method not to be forgotten, actually, which does explain the failed winemaking, or sort of sits in between, is the Singi method, which means in French bleeding. Does it?
Singi, bloody, bladed.
So
bled.
Okay, well, something to do with blood anyway. But so imagine you've got your red grapes and you're thinking, right, we're going to make this red wine. And your grapes are in, you've got all the juice, and you're like, we're not getting enough color out of these skins.
Yeah.
So they filter off the juice, right?
Yeah.
And that is really lovely, fresh, free run rosé wine. It's spent a little bit of time on the skins, but they're using that juice to make it to make rosé. And what it's also doing is intensifying the remaining juice on the skins, because there's less juice to skin, and therefore you're getting a richer red wine when your red wine wasn't quite going maybe the way that you were hoping.
Yeah.
So it's like everyone's a winner.
Everyone's a winner,
isn't it?
Yeah.
You got a better red wine,
Clever
theoretically, and a rosé to flog to people like us.
So let's just change the subject a little bit. Dryness, Jude. Dryness. What's the score with rosé?
Well, how do you know? Or,
how do you know whether it's dry or not?
It doesn't necessarily mean the colour. I mean,
no.
so
Although you can absolutely guarantee that 100% of rosé that is produced in Provence will be dry, because the last thing that the the people of Provence would just wince at the thought of having a sweet rosé.
And it doesn't probably do the rules of the appellation allow them to have sweet rosé?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
But
it's just
you're
not
guaranteed.
something they want their
guaranteed.
rosés. They want their rosés to drink just like us, with the blue sky at Saint-Tropez, on the beach with the moon and the oysters and all that. They don't want a floppy sweet rosé from Blossom Hill.
No, quite. Yeah, there is a
Blossom Hill.
There is a there's a market for that, but it's not ours. Simon, is the Dollier our biggest selling wine? Do you know, over the years we have sold an awful lot of it, but a lot of it has been at our outside events. It has to be said, doesn't it? So
what's an outside event? I can hardly remember.
Yeah, I believe it's when we used to sort of see people in the flesh in their big party atmospheres and in the sunshine, and people used to buy it by the 4 bottles.
It is true. We do it as a 4 or 5 day horse trial event, and we get through hundreds of the stuff, hundreds and hundreds of bottles of the stuff.
Brilliant, so much fun.
It's quite extraordinary how quickly people can devour a bottle of rosé.
But also, when people realise what good rosé tastes like, they just keep coming back for more.
Yeah.
And that's the key, because a lot of people have rosé, it's either girly or it's too sweet or whatever.
I think it's interesting in actual fact to see what rosé sales actually do this year. In fact, what they did last year. We don't know what the figures are last year, because obviously we've been locked down for the majority of the year, with pubs and bars and restaurants shut. What have people been drinking in terms of colour? I don't know. It'd be interesting to know whether rosé's taken a slight hit. I suspect it probably has, because there haven't been those opportunities to sit out
last summer.
I suppose the restaurants were open last summer.
I don't know.
Do people dwell in them? I don't know.
Did we sell as much as normal? No, because we didn't do our events.
No.
Yeah, difficult to know. Well, we're doing our best to for the cause anyway.
Yeah.
But here we go. So I know that all of you people enjoy a bit of a. Oh, hang on. Here's a question from Gordon. Oh, and yes, Claire.
Gordon.
Claire, yes, Badminton, exactly. Badminton horse trials, Burley horse trials. They are rosé glugging jolly events, and I can't wait till they return.
I know. Anybody who's thinking about going to a horse trial, don't even second think about it. It is a phenomenal event, and most people go not to watch the horses; they go for the shopping and the drinking.
Well, yeah, that's what happens in the end.
Gordon Smith, I hope your rosé is chilled. Unfortunately, Gordon was one of those few people who had to wait a little bit longer for his rosé today. Sorry about that, Gordon.
Sorry about that. So any thoughts on English rosé, both of us? Well, there's
stony silence.
There's some good. Actually, it's quite. I'm going to use that question as a segue. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So I know you guys like a bit of a quiz.
Come on then.
Oh no, that's not what I was meant to be doing. Do that. Oh, gosh, I just can't use it with the mouse. Right. So my first slide in this particular thing I want to share with you. So everyone's probably aware that there's a whole bunch of celebrities that have
bought into.
Yeah, they've seen the rosé fountain, but what's happened basically is they've been sat in their
ivory towers,
£10 million, Beverly Hills property in the sunshine, drinking rosé. Gone. I'm not even going to do an American accent, but we should get our own brand of rosé. It's so lovely. We should do this, and they have.
Yeah.
Now the first one is not an American.
Are they going to name that celebrity?
Yeah, I think we'll name that celebrity.
I like this.
So let me bear with me a sec. You know what it's like. I can't believe we started on mute. We've never done that. That's like a total failing. And although
it didn't last too long. Back again.
Here we go. So right. Unfortunately, I have named the file. So try not to read, just look at the pictures.
What did Gordon just say there? I can't see what he's just mentioned.
Hang on.
Chilies?
Chilled.
Oh, right.
Right, here we go. So let me just make this a little bit bigger. Where has it gone? This is number one, okay? Who is this? Oh, it's a bit of a giveaway, but who is this who has produced? This is an English rosé, actually. Hush Heath in Kent. And this is a famous sports person who has produced this. Well, not even produced it.
Actually, he's actually quite a good example of a celebrity who does actually know a thing or two about wine.
Well, so he's had a bit more of a hand in it.
He's taken an active interest in it, which is which is what you would expect of him. In actual fact, yes, everybody knows it.
Yeah, well done.
But I'm going to call him Billy, Bertie, both of them. What do they call him? Beefy,
both of them. With a rosé, and they've done a sparkling as well with these guys with Hush Heath.
Yeah.
Which will be really good. I've actually not tasted it. Have you tasted it?
No.
But there is some Gordon.
To be honest, Gordon, I'm trying to remember actually whether the last time I tasted a rosé from England.
We had a sparkling in Norfolk at Flint Vineyards.
That was jolly good. Cost a fortune though. Woo!
Yeah. Well, that is English wine. We know that, don't we?
Yeah.
Here we go. Shall I get to my next one?
Yeah. Here we go.
Some of these are easier than others.
Both of them.
Some of them you'll be like...
Nobody knows who the other chap is.
No. Hang on. How do I go to the next thing?
Mr. Balfour. Balfour Beatty.
Oh.
Maybe it's Balfour Beatty man. Who knows?
Okay. This one, if you don't get, we're going to,
can they name
publicly...
Can you name the dude in the middle though? The crazy mad professor.
He's the one who actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Have we come up to it?
So here we go. So this is a rosé produced in southwest France.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Sarah White, aka Swite. She is bang on the money there.
What's she done?
JBJ.
Okay. What about the middle dude though?
So
he's
this
the guy.
is...
What about the mad professor and the other guy on the right?
The mad professor in the middle, I believe his name is Gérard Bertrand.
Yeah, Gérard Bertrand. Now that guy in the middle, he is the king. He's the guru of rosé winemaking in the south of France. Anybody who wants to produce a really, really good rosé in the south of France probably uses him as a consultant winemaker or his advice. I mean, he really has.
He knows his onions.
Been a massive sort of flag waver for the south of France. So Gérard Bertrand is his name, and he's a proper bonkers dude. And
that is his son. That is Bon Jovi's son. And actually, I think it was probably a bit of a vanity project for the son, but he knew he wasn't going to get anywhere without his father getting involved. Let's face it. So here we go. Next up.
Oh.
So, no real prizes here, but this is a rosé wine from Saint-Tropez, unsurprisingly.
Yeah. Do you think they've airbrushed the colour of her skin to be almost the same colour as the pink rosé?
Oh, interesting. And the dress. I don't know.
What do we got here?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. It's amazing. They all know these questions, don't they? You all know these questions.
It's like the music round.
What about Boozy Rouge, everybody? Anybody come up with Boozy Rouge yet?
One suggestion which was wrong. Actually, I think Luke and Simon might have got it right. Okay, yeah. So Kylie has her own range of wines. You can go to KylieMinoguewines.com, I think. She's got a whole range of wines. In fairness, what she's done is chosen wines that she really loves and made her own brand of. So she's got a couple of other French wines. This is her Côte de Provence. Yeah. She does have a Vin de France rosé, which is a dry rosé from anywhere you like.
Yeah. I have to say though, I haven't tasted this. I know of it, but I have to say, if Kylie knows anything, she won't have taken bad advice on this. That rosé,
I believe that.
That rosé has got to be proper, the business.
Yeah, I believe that. And this is her second rosé, the Vin de France rosé.
And it should be quite cheap as well, like her music.
So, I think there's some people who'll be upset by that. Let's keep everyone,
I like Kylie.
Luke said, especially for them. Oh, that was a classic, wasn't it?
I wonder how much she's selling that for.
So her Vin de France rosé is around a tenner. It's actually quite relatively affordable. We don't like using the C word. And then she's cheap. And then put that one straight right away. And then she's got a Margaret River Chardonnay. So from Australia.
Margaret. Yes.
From Australia, that is going to be a really beautiful bottle of wine. And her branding's really nice. So I actually think that, well, though we've not tasted it, probably a really good option to try if you stumble upon it.
Yeah, I'd be up for it.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody. I know it says it on the bottle, Emma, but I could have photoshopped it out. But here's the next one, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's see what you think about this one, folks.
Yeah. Now,
Luke's just making a point whilst people are thinking about that. Kylie doesn't put her name on anything unless she is on it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it is all about Kylie. But hey, do you know what? She's 52 this year, I think. She has made an absolute, fortune, and is actually, I think, quite a nice person.
Yeah, I'm
sure
she is.
Let's not.
She's pretty grounded. Well, I know who it is. Obviously, everybody else knows who he is. Surely.
Emma
yeah, here we go. Well done, Emma. Well done, Emma.
And Claire, good stuff. Yeah. So
now, either there's something wrong with that bottle, or it's a bruiser of a bottle. It is a bruiser of a bottle.
Quite chunky. So
that is a very expensive glass bottle.
So this retails, it's a big chunky bottle. It is, in fact, John Malkovich. Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
So John Malkovich has actually he planted his vineyards.
Good man.
He bought a property, saw the potential of the slopes around it in the southern France, and planted the vineyards and waited for the vines to mature and made the wine. So a bit more of a sort of personal investment than just, well, we'll come to some others which weren't quite so much. So it's called Lesquels de la Coste Range.
Where is it?
Lesquels de la
Coste Range.
What does that mean?
Don't know.
What of the
Lesquels?
Okay.
Don't know.
No?
Don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay. Solely 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, because that's the wine he likes, and I like that. It's in Vaucluse, which is in the Rhône.
He likes Cabernet Sauvignon as a grape.
He likes Rosé is made from Cabernet Sauvignon. He likes the flavour better than Sanso and Mourvèdre and all these other, and Grenache, which are your classic Provence rosés.
Yeah.
And so he was like, I'm going to make it with Cabernet because that's what I like. And
Fair
this
enough.
is because this is his wine. So I'm like, okay, I quite like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I haven't tasted it, but this is just to share with the masses. And we know this look like this.
And he chose a ridiculously heavy glass bottle because it's quality.
So that's an extra fiver.
I like
that's an extra fiver.
I like that. I have to say, it's interesting, isn't it, to see all these southern French wines, and I think I hope everybody's noticed actually they've all got corks.
Yes, good point.
Every single one of them have got corks. Remember that screw caps in France, Italy, and Spain, Portugal, what have you, they're a proper no-no. Still just don't like it. So you see, they're proper. Traditionalists, but actually, wine and cork is sacred. And also, actually, just to say that, because we're going to work really, really hard just after Easter to try and source some more new wines. It's been quite difficult to source wines this year, obviously.
God, impossible.
But we're going to start really, really sort of tackling it, giving it, proper head on. And one thing I'm actually conscious of is that this whole sort of corked issue is almost disappeared. Is pretty much disappeared. So there should be a sort of a massive sort of move back to natural corks as opposed to screw caps. I'd like to see more corks.
And no more plastic corks.
No more plastic.
We don't like those. We don't like those.
No more plastic corks. So do away with them. So get your corkscrews ready, everybody.
Get your corkscrews out. And here's the next picture. No
there
guesses.
They are.
Yeah, Brangelina. Kind of the original Rosé couple in a way. They bought this Chateau and they produced this wine, Miraval.
Yeah. But it's true to say, actually, Miraval was a very good winery before they bought it. It was known. Clos Miraval was already known, was already a well-known, well-established, well-regarded rosé before the Brangelina thing came along.
And it's a very nice wine.
It's a very
but
nice
it's
wine.
a £20 a bottle rosé again.
No, it's more.
Is it more?
It's more.
Okay, I can't remember.
It's about 25 quid. It's about 25 quid a pop. I mean, basically, they came along and slapped at least another £10 on the price of a bottle.
But instantly, the year that they got involved, it featured in the top 100 wines.
Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like number 84 or something, but it's the first time that a rosé ever featured.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not just because of the wine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
And
I
wonder what happened. Maybe they didn't agree on the flavor or something. Maybe that's why.
So it was only 2 years
Maybe
after
that's why
they did that they got divorced. There you go.
2 years after.
Two did I say days?
2 years.
Years, yeah. 2 years after that they got divorced.
After they invested in the chateau.
Yeah. So maybe one too many rosés. We all know what happens after one too many rosés. Here we go. This is a curveball. I thought you'd like this. Now, big gold star to anyone who knows who this chappie is.
I can't see what Simon Gilmore's saying. Why screw caps are so much more practical. Oh, Simon Gilmore. It's not all about practicality. It's all about the theatre and the romance. It's all about rosé.
Spoken like a true Kiwi, I'd say. That's right. So here we go. Back. We've got 2 more of these. I'm going to make you look at them. Okay. This chap, I'm going to guess that no one's going to guess. His name is Post Malone, and he's a US rapper. Okay. You know,
he's huge.
Like he's a serious like rap artist, but has his own brand of wine, Provence Rosé again. It's called Maison Number 9 or Maison Numéro 9.
Yes.
Jackie Trigg, you knew the answer. Well done.
She's got it. Yes, well done. Well done.
No, the big gold star is in the post. And so he named it after his favorite tarot card.
Ooh.
So apparently the 9 of swords, and there's your sword going down the neck, and the number 9 at the bottom, is all about overcoming challenges.
Ooh.
So I thought that was really quite nice, actually.
I know there's a lot of tarot card reading in Provence. I do know that. I know nothing about it, but I do know there's quite a lot of tarot card reading goes on down.
Okay, and with maybe that's where old Post Malone
I don't know.
It's picked it up.
He looks slightly Sicilian to me.
Maybe it's not the best photo.
Malone. He must be Italian.
But anyway, so another one to look out for. This will be another really classic style Provence rosé.
Yeah.
And here's one last one, just very quickly. So oh no, where is it? Hang on.
Here we go.
This one's kind of quite important. Oh no, it's not on here. So Sting, I'll tell you the answer on this one. Sting and his missus.
Her.
Trudy Styler.
Trudy, that's her.
Trudy Styler. They, in the 80s, were in discussion about buying Miraval, the Brangelina one, in the 80s. Well ahead of the time.
Yeah.
And then they decided against it. Yeah. And then much later, now they have a winery in Tuscany.
Yes, they do.
And they produce a Tuscan rosé there.
Yeah.
But actually, there's only really small volume. They're, again, a bit more of a kind of belief. I think they started the project. So they only really make enough for local purchases and consumption, which is quite nice. They're looking to kind of build it up. But it's Sangiovese. Yeah. Sangiovese does make quite nice rosé.
Yeah.
We did have one.
Sangiovese is the Chianti grape, the grape that you use to make wonderful, huge, great, big, dense red Chiantis, and it also makes rosé. Again, the colour thing. But they have to be very careful with it.
Still delicate.
They have to be very careful with the maceration.
If they get the skins out.
Yeah.
And here's another nice thing about that wine, okay? Yeah. I need to read the name of it because I can't remember. Il Palagio Beppe Rosato Toscana.
Okay.
Can't tell you what Palagio means, but Beppe is one of the long-term vineyard workers. He's been there working, toiling in the vineyards for many years, and they named their rosé after him. And I thought,
that really is lovely.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
So good on him.
Yeah.
Good on him.
I think that's lovely. So anyway, actually, I suppose the question is, do we go chasing rosés that have been produced by celebrities? And I think actually the answer to that is no. Rosé, but the thing is, it's all very well these celebrities putting their mark on the rosés, but actually, people are very, very, very specific about what they want their rosés to be like. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to characterize what a rosé tastes of. It's almost impossible to characterize it, but everybody knows what they want. And I suppose the answer to that is that if any of these celebrities are producing a mediocre or an inferior rosé, it's just not going to cut the mustard, is it?
No, it's true. You wouldn't want to put your name to it.
Yeah.
And they're all people who you would hope have got a little bit of taste, basically, aren't they? I mean, if it was, I can't even think of a teeny bopper person anymore. Like, I'm going to name someone who's like 40. But if you imagine a teeny bopper putting their name to a rosé, just coming of age, putting their name to a rosé, it's none of that. Like these are all people who are kind of
Yeah.
our age.
I'm
let's
just
say.
thinking about Spice Girls, and
Let's
they're all
say-
about
yeah.
50.
I was even going to say Britney Spears, but I think
she's about
she's
60.
my age. But anyway, there is a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, and there's a lot of rubbish. But like we generally like to go dry, fresh, and a very safe bet is the south of France or any of the rosés in our range.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, so very good. If you want your dry rosés, stick to southern France. Definitely. If you want to experiment with something a little bit sweeter, a little bit bigger, then obviously the Americans do the cheapo pink Zinfandels.
Are you actually recommending that? No, don't do that.
No,
Don't
it's
go
not
there. It's bad
really
for
where
you.
you want to go.
There's
It's
like
not
50,
really where you
50
want to go at
grams of
all.
sugar per litre in those wines.
Having said that, they still produce an awful lot of rosé. They do.
They
produce
do.
an awful
In
lot
fact,
of world
here's a
rosé.
quick statistical.
Yeah.
France produced the most rosé in the world.
Good.
32% of all world's rosé produced in France.
Yep.
22% in Spain. Then the US at about 20%.
Yeah.
Italy, and then South Africa, surprisingly, because
Yeah.
and there's a lot of crap rosé that comes out of South Africa, but there are some good ones as well. It's just quite a hot climate,
Yeah.
but hot without the cool nights.
You can also remember that South Africa is one of the few countries where they are permitted to blend red wine with white wine to produce the perfect coloured rosé. So it's not clever winemaking; it's a bit tactical.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that, and their laws permit it, the reason they do that is because they want to end up with the right colour pink on the
Not pink, not
on
this
the
pink.
on the supermarket shelves.
Yeah.
Which says actually, there's a lot of South African rosé which is pretty average, really. It's not where
As with any country in the world, right?
but it's not where I would begin to look for rosés as a rosé sort of, lover of rosé. It's South Africa would not be the first place for me to look at. I would always look at Europe because they've got just the know-how. They've been doing it an awful lot longer than anybody else.
Yes, yeah, definitely agreed.
Yeah.
And so here's a few ones to look out for in the old HB range. Moroccan rosé, Domaine de la Zuina. This is a lovely. In fact, the first vintage we had, which was about 3 years ago, was bone dry, almost, it was lovely, but there was no fruit there.
Yeah.
And the last two vintages have been really lovely because they're dry, but with a bit more fruit and actually very much more this in style.
Yeah.
So that's the Domaine de la Zuina Volubilia Gris.
Yeah.
And then the Mastodon Mascassac Rosé is under a tenner and absolutely brilliant. Southern French Rosé from the Languedoc, one to look out for.
And one more to look out for, which is not ready yet. We're still waiting for it to arrive. It's I think they're bottling it now. It's going to be here.
Yes.
It's going to be here probably the end of April, maybe the beginning of May. So it's a little bit later this year, but it's the Villa Wolf Rosé.
Pinot Noir Rosé.
Pinot Noir, thank you. Pinot Noir Rosé from Villa Wolf, Ernst Lucen, which is the one which has got just a touch of residual sweetness, just a touch. You can't define it as a sweet rosé. It's just a lot more sort of riper, bigger fruit almost.
Yeah, it's dry
Brilliant.
but fruity.
Great with your spicy food, like the Pinot Gris.
Yeah,
like the
brilliant.
Villa Wolf Pinot
Brilliant
Gris.
with your spicy food.
Yeah,
with your kind of Thai spices as opposed to like your big Rogan Josh.
Yeah.
And
then the Kyra.
Kyra Turkish Rosé.
Turkey.
Perfect, not with turkey, but with spicy kofta and spicy Turkish kind of chickeny type dishes. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So here we are coming to the end of our lockdown live kind of
quite emotional.
series 3,
quite
I think,
emotional.
really.
Is it lockdown 3?
We've done 3. We've had 3 gaps.
There you go. Well, it was we're in the 3rd lockdown. We're coming out of it.
Yeah. So we will probably come back to doing the odd one of these because it's really fun and we can get everyone in from around the country. No one has to go anywhere. But we do hope to get a date in the diary for a live tasting as well. So watch this space. We're maybe having a little route around to see if we can find a venue with a marquee.
A massive great gazebo.
Yeah, something undercover but outside. So if it is vaguely locked down, we can all be safe.
Yeah.
But we will...
Finn will be the bouncer at the door.
Yes, he will. Maybe you'll be able to meet him in real life. Finn.
But yeah, no, absolutely. Keep an eye out, everybody. I know you will. We will be in touch as soon as we've sort of worked something out. We're really not entirely sure what to do quite yet.
It's difficult to know what's going to happen, but yeah, we hope that everyone has enjoyed them.
Yeah,
and we're really
we've
grateful
enjoyed
for
them.
you for tuning in, because it's fab having your company, because it's keeping us sane just like it's keeping you sane.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you posted, but definitely keep in touch.
I think we'll be back soon.
I know.
I think we'll be back soon.
Not
you
that
know where
much
to
has
find us
changed.
in any case. But
Yeah.
As soon as we come up with a new idea, we'll go, oh, let's do a lockdown live.
Yeah, we'll just call it something
I've got
different.
something to say, and I need an audience.
You can't talk back. That's the beauty of it.
Listen, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the Olier Rosé. It's on the website. It's $13.99. It's 2020 vintage, and it's just sitting there waiting to be
make
picked up.
the salmon jerky. It's so good. You've all got time. There's no excuse. It's really delicious.
Yeah.
Cheers, everyone. Happy Easter.
Yeah.
I've got to go and get onto my hot cross buns now. They're half made. So we will see you on the other side, no doubt. But thank you all for your attention and for coming along. And
nice to see you, everybody.
Soon.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll all be parting soon enough.
Yeah,
cheers.
Exactly. Cheers. Finn, say goodbye. Come on.
Finn.
Oh, he's...
Here he is.
Oh,
there he
is.
Bye, everybody.
Good boy.
There he goes.
Oh, he's off.